Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Career Launcher. My name is Naveen, and today we'll be looking at puzzle arrangements, part 6 of the series. It's a long time, so I'm back with another session on LRDI. So let's begin with our first question, first set of the day. So based on the given data, solve the questions that follow. So BTS Learning Resources is conducting a refresher course for teachers on 7 different topics of the competitive exams, namely problem solving, data interpretation, data sufficiency, visual aptitude, reading comprehension, verbal reasoning, and analytical reasoning from 22nd July to 29th July. One course is done on each day. The following information is also given. The course should end with DI, 23rd July being Sunday should be a holiday, VR should be on the day before AR, and so on and so forth. So from 22nd to 29th July, this is a total of 8 days, right? And we are given a total of problem solving, DI, data sufficiency, visual aptitude, reading comprehension, verbal reasoning, and analytical reasoning. So we are given a total of 8. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So sorry, we are given a total of 7 such competitive exams, and there are total 8 days here. So one day they are not doing anything. There is no refresher course here. So that is going to be Sunday, right? On which day there is a holiday, and it's understood that no refresher course will occur on that day. And then we have got some sequence that we are supposed to fill. Let's look at the questions and then accordingly decide what we should do. So which subject will be on Tuesday, which subject is its VA, and so on and so forth. And since each of the given options, they are definite, so that would mean that we should be able to get a unique combination, right? So that we should be able to solve all of them. So we need a table wherein we will be writing the date, right? And then we will be writing the day there. And then we will be writing down the, topics of those competitive exams. So the date starts from 22nd. So it's 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. Since 23rd is a Sunday, so it's a holiday. So no topic is discussed there. So we'll have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. Now, we have to fill in the topics here. Okay, let's start. The first bullet point says the course should end with DI, so that is data interpretation. So we are done with data interpretation. Okay, VR should be on the day before AR, so don't know where to put. We'll skip the statement. DS should be immediately followed after a holiday. So data sufficiency we have. So DS follows on Monday, that means. Then it says there should be a gap of exactly 1 day between RC and AR, right? So if we look at the third bullet point and this fourth one, it says if we take RC, there should be a gap of 1 day, and then we should have AR, or we should have AR, gap of 1 day, and then we should have RC. And also it says VR should be on the day before AR. So we can put VR over here, or we can put VR over here. Now, if we look at the combination of these 4, this is the only place that these 4 can go, right? And if you look at RC, VR, and AR, so we can have RC, VR, and AR at these 3 consecutive places, or we can have them at these 3 consecutive places, right? So we have 3 possibilities. We will not straight away and make all the cases. We will read the last bullet point. Last bullet point says there should be a gap of exactly 2 days between PS and RC, while PS occurring before RC. So if PS is supposed to occur before RC and there should be a gap of exactly 2 days, this is what we should have. In this case, there will be a repetition of VR and PS occurring on the same day. And in the question, it says it happens only on 1 day. So this scenario will not make sense. Now, if you're supposed to place PS 2 blank and then RC and then VR and then AR, the only possibility we can have is if we take PS here 2 days gone, then we can have RC, we can have VR, and then we will have AR. So we are done with problem solving. We are done with reading comprehension. We are done with verbal reasoning, and we are done with analytical reasoning. The last one, visual aptitude or VA, should go on Friday. Right? Very straightforward, a very, very simple set. Yeah, good evening, Dropa. Good evening, Shibu. Okay, Dropa. That's a good academics. You should definitely sit for your exam. Okay. Once we have filled the table, let's look at the questions. Which subject will be on Tuesday? So we can see that on Tuesday we have got RC. So option B. Second, which subject precedes VA? So it means which one is before VA? So that's going to be AR. Option C. How many days gap is between PS and VA? So VA is on Friday and PS is on Saturday. So we have a total of 5 days gap between them. So option D. And which subject is followed by DS? Followed by means after. So after DS, we have got RC. So it's going to be option B now. Yes, Dhruva, you can. It not only depends on your accounts, but it also depends on a lot of other factors. Okay. So the final composite score will include your CAT percentile, your PIs and everything. That will decide. But yes, you have got, above average accounts. So that's a good thing. And if you're targeting good CGPA in your last semester, that is good. Okay. Let's look at the next set now. In a square layout of size 5 meters cross 5 meters, 25 equal size square platforms of different heights are built. The heights in meters of these platforms are shown below. So we can see it here 6, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, 5, 3, 2, 8, and so on. So these are the heights. Now, individuals all of same height are seated on these platforms. So let's say people are sitting there. We say an individual A can reach an individual B if all the following 3 conditions are met. So these are the 3 conditions. First condition is A and B, they are supposed to be in the same row or column. So we cannot move diagonally. So a person can move horizontally or vertically on this particular square matrix. Next, A is at a lower height than B. So if A is trying to reach B, A is at a lower height than B, it means everybody should target moving upwards. Nobody should target moving at the same height or below. So it's like if you want to have success, you should always grow, right? Third point says, if there is or are any individual or individuals between A and B, such individual or individuals must be at a height lower than that of A. So basically, if A is here, A has to reach at a height greater than B. So if there are going to be individuals between A and B, their heights, they are supposed to be less than that of A. Then only A can reach B. Okay, they need to be lower. It doesn't mean that they need to be, continuously lower. Okay, so it's more like a catapult. If you want to, grow, you need to sometimes take few steps back. So thus in the table given above, so we are given an example. Consider the individual seated at a height 8 in third row and second column. So third row and second column, we are talking about this 8. 4 individuals can reach him. He can be reached by an individual on his left from 7, by the individual on his right of heights 4 as well as 6, right? And by the individual above at a height 5. The rows in the layout are numbered from top to bottom and the columns are numbered from left to right. So standard way of numbering rows and columns, right? Let's look at the questions. There is nothing that we can do right now. We all that we had to do was understand how to go about this. So The first question says, how many individuals in this layout can be reached by just one individual? Now we have got 36 such places, so we have to patiently check that out. So let's look at 6. 6 cannot be reached by 9, and that's why it cannot be reached by anybody below him. 6 can be reached by 1, and 6 can be reached by 2, and 6 can be reached by 4 as well, right? So 6 is not the guy. Then if you look at 1, this guy cannot be reached by anyone because nobody is at a lower height than man. There is no 0 here. Remember, people can only move upwards. So this is also not acceptable. If you look at 2, 1 can reach here. 6 cannot because 6 is at a higher height than 2. This guy 4 to his right cannot because 4 is at a higher height, and similarly 3 cannot. If you look bottom, nobody else can. So the first guy we get is, I'll write it like this. First row, third column, we have got 2 here, right? Okay. Let's look at 4. This 4 can be reached by 2. It can be reached by 3. So obviously we should not account this. If you look at 3, this 3 cannot be reached by 4. This 3 cannot be reached by 8. So nobody reaches him. Next, if you look at 9, we can clearly see that there are a lot of people who can reach him. So not 9. If you look at 5, 3 and 1, we get 2. Shouldn't check further. If you look at this 3, he can be reached by 2 guys. So we should not check further. If you look at this 2, he cannot be reached by anyone. He may have reached by 1, but the thing is, the person between 1 and 2, or the platform between 1 and 2 has a height which is more than 1. It should have been lesser. So not possible. If you look at this 8, it can be reached by 3 people at least that we can see. Next, if you look at 7, he can be reached. He cannot be reached from 9. He cannot be reached from 8. He can reach from 3. So this is the next one that we see, which is third row and first column, which is 7. Next, if you look at 8, he can be reached by at least 3. If you look at 4, he can be reached from 3. Not 6, not 5, not 8, not 5, not from above 2, because between 2 and 4, we need a height less than 2. So this is the next guy that we see, which is going to be third row, third column, which is 4. 6 can be reached by all the 4 people to its top, bottom, left, and right. If you look at 5, it can be reached by 2 and 2 only. So this is the next one we get. Third row, fifth. Oh, so this is 25 cells. I think I mistakenly said 6 by 6. Okay, next, if you look at this 3, it can be reached by 1 and 1 alone. So the next one is fourth row, first column, which is 3. Next, if you look at 9, it can be reached by everybody around. If we look at next 5, it can be reached by 1 or 4. This 1, nobody will be able to reach him. This 2, he can be reached by 1 and 1 alone. So we get the next one, fourth row, fifth column, which is 2. Next, this 1 cannot be reached by anyone. Next, this 7 can be reached by at least 2 that we are sure about. This 6 can be reached by at least 2. This 3 can be reached by 1 and only 1. So we get the next one, which is fifth row, fourth column, which is 3. And last 9, it can be reached by at least 2 that we are aware of, 2 and 3. So we should not count that. So we can see that we have got a total of 7 such individuals who can be reached by just one individual. So when you deal with such kind of puzzles, this is actually a CAT set. You have to be very, very patient, very calm, okay? Because we had to check 25 cases, right? And here I can erase and write it down, because I'm using a tablet and a pen. In the exam, when you are drawing it on a piece of paper, it takes a lot of time because, sometimes we end up overwriting things. So then we end up redrawing the matrix or the grid or the table, whatever we are solving. So that's why in exams, such kind of sets, they take more time. So you have to be careful that you should not overrate things. Okay. The next one is, which of the following is true for an individual at a platform of height 1 meter in this layout? So if we look at 1 meter height, we have got 3 of them. So can we say this guy or any guy who is at 1 meter platform, he can always reach around, but nobody can reach there? So they can be reached by all individuals in their row and column? No. They can be reached by at least 4 individuals? No. They can be reached by at most 4 individuals. I think there is one simple typo here. It should have been at most. No, at most नहीं होना चाहिए. It should have been at least only, but it should be at least 3 individuals. So we can see that no, he cannot, and they cannot be reached by anyone. Of course, they cannot be reached by anyone, because for somebody to reach at a height of 1 should start with 0, and there's no 0 height platform that we see. Right? Next, we can find 2 individuals who cannot be reached by anyone in the last row. So if we look at the last row, there is definitely this guy who cannot be reached by anyone. 7 can be reached by 1, 6 can be reached by 5, 3 can be reached by 1, 9 can be reached by a lot of people. So we do not find 2 individuals here, right? Next, the 4th row. If you look at this 3, he can be reached by 1. 9 can be reached by a lot of people. 5 can be reached by a lot of people. 1 is the guy who cannot be reached by anyone. 2 can be reached by 1. So not the second option. Next, the 4th column. So this guy 4 can be reached. This guy 2 cannot be reached by anyone. This 6 can be reached by a lot of people. This 1 cannot be reached by anyone. This 3 can be reached by 1. So we see that there are 2 individuals who cannot be reached by anyone, which makes sense, the 4th column, right? There is one more question that I will, hold on. So there was a repetition of one question. So this is another question. Which of the following statements is true about this layout? Each row has an individual who can be reached by 5 or more individuals. Each row has an individual who cannot be reached by anyone. Each row has at least 2 individuals who can be reached by an equal number of individuals. And finally, all individuals at the height of 9 meters can be reached by at least 5 individuals. Now, of course, we may have to check 3 out of these 4 cases, okay, in order to find out which one is true. So we will not start sequentially, but we should rather start with the statement that is easier to manipulate. For example, let's start with statement B. Each row has an individual who cannot be reached by anyone. So if you remember, we have this guy 1, we had this guy 2, we had this guy 1, we had this guy 1. And in the next one, there was, in this particular row, everybody was able to be reached by someone or the other. Okay, so B statement is false, so this will not make sense. Now, from the leftover 3 statements, let's look at D. All individuals of height 9 can be reached by at least 5 individuals. So let's check. Can be reached by 6, can be reached by 7, can be reached by 5, and now it cannot be reached by it can be reached by 8, right? Because all the other platforms are less. But it can't be reached by a fifth guy now, right? So the very first guy we chose, who is at a height of 9 meters, cannot be reached by at least 5 individuals. So this is also false now. Now, between option A and C, which one is going to be easier? Each row has an individual who can be reached by 5 or more individuals, or each row has at least 2 individuals who can be reached by an equal number of individuals. So if you pay attention to this, you will realize that A is relatively easier than C statement. Because in C, we are not told, what is the number of individuals, equal individuals. So it means we have to go through each of the 25 platforms now. But in the case A, we only had to check 5 or more. So the first row, if we look here, this 6 can be reached by 1, it can be reached by 2, it can be reached by 4. So 6 cannot be reached by 5 or more. Next one definitely cannot be reached by anyone. 2 can be reached via 1, and that's it. So far, we haven't got any platform which can be reached by 5 or more individuals. This 4 can be reached by 2, this 3, and that's it. And 3 can be not reached by anyone. So in the very first row, we do not find an individual who can be reached by 5 or more individuals. So this is going to be, this is going to be false, right? So we are left with only option C. So that is going to be answer. You have to be a little confident that whatever cases you have checked it correct. Because if you have that a bit of fear or confusion, you will end up checking statement C. So there is no time saving than you did, right? Okay. So that's all for today. Do you guys have any doubt? Anything that you guys would like to ask? Anyone? By the way, Dropa, when you asked, will I get a call from I am ABC? It's not that you will get, but you can get. Okay. So I shouldn't sound like, I'm confident that you will get it. Depends on a lot of other parameters. Any doubt? Anyone? No? Okay. So thank you, everyone. Make sure that you like the video and subscribe if you haven't. And you can watch the other playlists where we have, solved at least 40 to 50 LRDI sets, and majorly from previous year CAT papers. Stay tuned. Okay, keep the notification bell icon activated so that when next session happens, you're notified about it and you do not miss out on that. Okay, take care. Thank you.